Hey, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Shooting the Shit Uncensored. I'm your host, Piers, and tonight I am here with a very special guest. He's an up-and-comer of the Australian wrestling scene. His name is Jimmy Townsend, but before we get into it tonight, guys, you know I always have to take that quick minute to say thank you to our wonderful, wonderful sponsors who make this show possible every single week. So my first sponsor is Mayan Belts. If you want a replica championship belt of your favorite belt that you see out there on TV or your own custom championship belt, hit up Eddie and Ira Williams on Facebook from Mayan Belts, and they will do you an amazing deal. They do special payment plans where it's little as $20 per paycheck until that belt is paid off, and you can have one. Next is A-Rock Designs. So A-Rock Designs is a company run by my good friend Ashley Rodriguez in Georgia in the United States. She makes custom cups, hoodies, keychains, tumblers, you name it, she makes it. And you know what? She's not just doing wrestling themed stuff anymore. She actually does anything you want. So I've got 4 cups on order that I can't wait to absolutely get. I am like stinging for these fucking cups, man. Next is Signal Studios. If you're a pro wrestler, or even if you're just a music fan, you want a beat to write your own song to, or you want a place to go and jam out to, hit up Rafi Tomasian at Signal Studios here in Sydney, Australia. He'll be able to make you a beat, ship it out to you, or be able to have a rehearsal space for you, and you'll be loving life. Now, if you'd like to do that little bit extra and sponsor this show and, you know, sponsor MWA, Multi-Continental Wrestling Alliance, you can find us at Pro Wrestling Tees. You can buy this shirt, which is the Shooting the Shit Uncensored shirt. You can get our 2020 wrestling shirt, which is our game show, 10:30 p.m. every Wednesday night, run by Brood. You know it's a great time and you know it's fun. You can also get our anime shirt, which is also up on Pro Wrestling Tees, or our MWA black and silver logo shirt. So guys, thank you very much for tuning into Multi-Continental Wrestling Alliance, Brothers of the Belt, Mayan Belts. And without further ado, he's asked his mum for special permission to stay up tonight. He is the prefect, Jimmy Townsend. Jimmy, what's up, brother?
Oh, pleasure to be here. Very excited on this lovely Monday night. Mum has let me stay up a bit later, so I'm excited. It's the school holidays, to be fair. It's the school holidays, so you know I don't have anywhere to be tomorrow.
Yeah, so not drinking down at the park with with your mates?
I would never do that.
No, well, mate, you're the prefect of the school, mate. You got to be a good guy, right?
Exactly. If I get caught, I've already had to repeat. I don't want to have to do it again.
Yeah, right. How many years have you had to repeat? You're in year 12 now, right?
This is my second go of year 12, so hopefully there's no third.
Jesus, mate, you got to be careful with those minors, bro. Come on, you don't want to end up on another speaking out thing, you know. But just be careful, bro. But
No.
Jimmy, look, thanks for coming on, man. So tell me, man, like, where did you grow up? You're from Sydney, another fellow Sydney boy. Whereabouts in Sydney did you grow up, and how'd you get into this crazy world of pro wrestling?
Oh, I grew up out west, so that works out why I'm at the Pro Wrestling Academy. Yeah, just growing up there, getting into wrestling like everyone else. It's not really a special story. Just as a kid, I was very big into wrestling figures. That was my forte. I'd spend probably, I'd say from the ages of about 5 till 12, I every afternoon for hours just wrestling figures. I've got probably about 100 or so in the garage in a container somewhere. Just, you know, loving wrestling like everyone else, always saying I wanted to do it when I grew up until I finally sort of decided it's something that's possible and looked around and found PWA.
Yeah, right. And who were some of the wrestlers that you looked up to and really inspired you to get into wrestling at a young age?
So my favorite of all time is Jeff Hardy and Shawn Michaels, Triple H as well, like the 2006 DX. I was a big fan of them. Always had a good laugh. I can't say I've watched the Attitude Era DX. That was a bit before my time, but I'd like to think that 2006 was superior.
Dude, you gotta go way back, dude. You gotta go way back.
There's just too much. There's just too much.
You know what, dude? There's so much wrestling on the WWE network, and there's so many other platforms to watch your pro wrestling. Like I find myself, I've got the network and I've got independent wrestling TV, and like literally, I find myself sitting there going, "What do I watch? I don't know." And next thing you know, it's like 12:30 at night.
Yeah, it's like wrestling fans have it twice as bad because people do that on Netflix regardless. But now we do it. We get to do it on Netflix as well as the WWE Network. So we just sit there for twice as long and don't watch anything.
It's crazy, man, because it's one of those things. It's like there's so much content out there. There's so much wrestling out there to this day. Like, I mean, you look at wrestling pre-COVID, and wrestling was just, it's almost having that second boom. Like, you know, obviously you said you're a bit young to remember the Attitude Era in the 90s, but when I was a teenager, man, in the late 90s, wrestling was fucking massive, dude. It was like it goes every 10 years, every 10, 15 years as a boom in wrestling. And that's what we were kind of going through pre-COVID. And I think we're still going through it. I mean, you look at AEW and WWE doing the empty arena shows.
Sure.
There's always wrestling going around. There's always something happening.
Yeah, you're never going to get a shortage of wrestling in this day and age.
Absolutely. So, you know, you started out at PWA, and, you know, that's a pretty famous gym, man. There's like Madison Eagles, Robbie Eagles, Ryan Eagles. You know, tell us about the first day you went into the PWA gym, and how was that experience for you?
Well, my first day wasn't actually my first day of training. My first day at PWA was a couple of years earlier when I was, I want to say 13, 14.
Yeah, right.
And when I first found the academy, I straight away was like, yep, that's it. We're doing it. My mum was the smart one who said, no, let's go watch a show first. Make sure it's not just some teenagers in their backyard or something. Like, you know, it's actually something worthwhile. So we went to a show, the Casula Powerhouse back in 2015. And it was just a stacked card. Robbie Eagles, Shaz McKenzie, all the Four Nations, you know, Instagram, Big Fudge, all the, you know, these stars. So we watched that show, and my mum was blown away. I really enjoyed it, and we went to the next training session the following Saturday. Just rocked up to the training school unannounced, little 14-year-old me and my mum. Knocked on the door and just sort of like, hi guys, and Robbie came out and just sort of had a chat to us and asked what was going on. Said, oh yeah, can I train? Yeah, you're a bit young, mate. I think you're gonna have to wait a couple of years. The most devastating day of my life, I'll tell you. I was so hyped up to start wrestling, and I had to wait another 2 years. Oh, I was heartbroken.
But in that 2 years, was there anything that, you know, Robbie said to you, hey, look, go and do this kind of sport, go and do like a martial arts, or go do like judo, so you at least learn how to take like a, you know, to land? I know judo and pro wrestling is a bit on the fastest go.
Yeah, look, he didn't necessarily recommend anything to me, just sort of get fit. But I took it upon myself, because I really just sort of, I knowing I had 2 years to sort of prepare, I looked into so much of what wrestling was and what I needed to do. So I just sort of kept up with some. I was always a sporty kid anyway. I played some sports when I was younger, so I was pretty fit anyway. But yeah, just sort of watched a couple of those dodgy like how to wrestle videos on YouTube, and thought I knew what I was doing. So I'd rock up to the first day of class and think that I was, you know, already Robbie Eagles level.
Yeah. And that's the thing, I suppose, you know, you've been doing this for a couple of years now, and you'd probably see like new guys coming in and going, oh yeah, fuck this wrestling thing. I watch it all the time. I can go in there and train for a week and I'm off to WWE. But what was your mentality? Yeah, exactly, man. You know, maybe if you're Braun Strowman or someone like that.
Yeah.
But you know, what was it like for you? You know, obviously going in there and first taking those bumps. Was it like, holy shit, I'm over my head? Or was it more like, oh no, this is pretty much what I expected, and I love this shit right now and have to do it?
Yeah, look, the fitness on like the first tryout was pretty bad. Like I threw up twice during my tryout. But by that point I was already so invested in it, and I had like told everyone at school that that's what I was doing. So it's kind of like I was too far in to back out. But I kind of expected it, because I you know, you read all the stories and you do your research. I knew that I was getting into a bit of pain and a lot of, you know, brutal fitness and whatnot. So for all the fitness stuff, it was okay. I got through that. And then my first bump, I'm not going to lie, I didn't mind it. I remember doing it and turning to, it was Caveman Ugg and Brian the Heat Seeker. They were my coaches in the core class. And I took the bump and not even reacting to the pain or anything. I just turned to them and I was like, was that right? I didn't care about the pain. I was just like, did I do it right? But they asked me, like, how do you feel? And I said, I feel all right. And they said, well, you must have done it right then. So, yeah, I mean, I don't think the bumps never got to me as much. Maybe it's just me being a bit younger and having that resilience over some of the older guys.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a definite thing. And one thing, I get to speak to wrestlers, from all around the world, and one thing that they say is you got to love it. If you don't love it, you're not going to be in it long term, and you're not going to really get through the training. And a lot of guys have said, we see people just come in, think they can do it, but if they don't absolutely love it, your heart's not in 100%, you're not going to last.
It's a lifestyle. You get in it and you're either in or you're out because there's that much shows going on. There's that much training. If you don't keep up, you're gonna fall off behind, and it's a shame, but it's kind of what happens because there's so many people chomping to get the spot that if you're not trying to keep up with being at every show and helping out and training as much as everyone else, you're going to fall behind. You're going to lose your spot, and then that's what causes people to sort of lose their passion because they think, oh, I should be at this place, but maybe they're not putting in as much effort as the next guy, and then they don't get that spot, and they think, oh, it's not for me anymore. So it's a shame, but you really, like you said, you really just have to be all in to keep up with it.
Oh, absolutely. And how long were you training before you actually got to get in there and have your first match?
About a year and a half until I had my first match. Yeah.
Yeah. And who was your first match against?
Against the Velocities.
Yeah. Did you did you win, or did you
No, we did not get the win, unfortunately. They kicked our asses.
Oh, it's you can't win everyone, mate. First,
well, yeah, especially
first
not your first. Yeah, we put in a decent showing for our first match, so I'll take it.
Yeah, and was that with PWA?
No, that was with Rock and Roll Wrestling down at Wollongong. Just at one of their sort of little. Yeah, we didn't have a PWA match until Coliseum 2018. The first one, we were in that Battle Royal, and we got dragged out by security about a minute in. So
you got dragged out of the match by security. What?
Yeah, we didn't have IDs, and we had our school uniforms on. So they put two and two together, and they called us out.
I love it.
In hindsight, maybe we shouldn't have worn the school uniforms, and they probably wouldn't have dragged us out.
Yeah, exactly, mate. Maybe you worn some rugby the school rugby jersey instead. So
yeah, or yeah.
But, how did you come up with obviously the character and the character development of Jimmy Townsend? Was that something that your trainers helped you with, or was that pretty much they said, no, we'll teach you how to bump, we'll teach you how to do the moves, you're on your own for the rest?
No, they definitely help out with everyone. Especially Mick Moretti is the big one who is sort of the main coach for our promo classes and helps with character development, which is obvious because of how good he is with all that stuff. In terms of myself, it was kind of like, obviously the school stuff isn't a character at all, but I didn't really want to go with that as my wrestling persona so much until we had a training seminar, and we had to sort of come up with just sort of a throwaway character. And me and Billy, obviously having been school friends already, we were just mucking around with the idea of being like this snobby, over the top school kid. And it was just for that one night, and we threw it away. And then over the weeks, we kept talking to each other, thinking like, oh, this would be a funny idea for that school idea. Oh, this would be funny as well. And then we went back and forth until we tried it out at one of our regular promo classes, and everyone at training really enjoyed it. And we went, we may as well just could be who we are. Like we are those actual school kids that are just want to have a bit of fun and play pranks on people. So we may as well just do that in the ring. Nobody else is doing it. So
I actually saw a like an old, I don't know, promo or vignette where you was trying to sneak backstage to a show, and then like you bump into another wrestler. He's like, mate, you guys can't fucking be here. Like, fuck off. It's over 18s.
That was Fridays for the Babes, and we tried to sneak into to that show, and we drunk from Matty Wahlberg's Red Cup, and he didn't like that too much. So I got taped to the ring post, and Billy passed out in the kiddie pool on the stage. Again, we got dragged out by security as well. That was 2 in a row.
Oh my god, that was like, honestly, I saw that clip and I'm just like, this is fucking hilarious. Like that was amazing.
Yeah.
Sorry to swear. I do know that being in school, you
my ears are hurting a little bit, but it's okay.
Yeah, I can let it slide. It's shit in the shit uncensored, man. This is what you got to expect here.
It's the adult world. I'm 18 now, so
That's it. There you go. You're fighting in the big boy world now. So, but
That's
as
it.
far as like Aussie pro wrestling goes, how is it? Do you find it difficult to get booked in other promotions? Because I know years ago it's like if you didn't train under that promotion, then they're not going to book you. Has that changed much over the years, or is it sort of having to really go and break down more barriers and pay dues at each promotion that you go to in Australia? Like, go set up the ring and be security and that sort of stuff.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, when it comes to interstate stuff, that more comes with just getting a bigger name value for yourself. But within the state, yeah, it's very much the old tradition of go to the show, introduce yourself to the promoter, help out with whatever you can help out with, and eventually, you'll get thrown a bone. So, Newey Pro, FWA, Rock and Roll, those types of places. It's all just obviously early on. I made friends with some of the more experienced guys, and they sort of would guide me along and say, hey, come along to this show. It's this weekend. Maybe you can sort of shake hands and see what's there for you. And sometimes you just get thrown on because they need an extra person. So you always have your gear there with you, and that's how you get your opportunities.
Yeah, I mean, the famous saying is always take your gear to every show. So
For sure.
but what's been some of the favorite promotions that you've worked for around New South Wales?
PWA, obviously. I mean, that goes without saying. Newey Pro is a big one because they're very much our sort of sister company in a lot of ways. So they're the two main ones where everyone's sort of like, well, at least for me, is the main sort of the passion and the goal. Because funnily enough, when I first sort of came in, Newey was really the bigger of the two companies because PWA just was about to hit that sort of renewal of the passion when Osprey came in and all that. It was just before then. So Newey was actually the big goal for everyone around that 2017 mark. And I'm lucky enough to have done that a few times. I got to wrestle Billy actually at their Rumble last year, which was my favorite match. We had a schoolyard brawl. And the winner got a spot in the Rumble, and that was a lot of fun. And I've gotten a lot of opportunities to do commentary up there too, which I really enjoy. So PWA and Newey are the two sort of main focuses.
Yeah, I mean, like PWA has just been like it's pretty much that one promotion that a lot of people know, especially from like overseas and stuff like that. It's known as a really big promotion. And obviously, you get to train under someone like Robbie Eagles, who's now over in New Japan. Has Robbie been that sort of mentor figure for you in the pro wrestling world?
Yeah, for sure. Robbie's the best. He pushes us all to be as best as we can be, and he does it as well. Like when even Mick and Madison are the same. Like when they come to training, they're trying to push themselves to be as best. Like Robbie, he's got to push himself so he keeps up with all the New Japan guys, which then in turn he schedules training so that he can push himself, which then pushes us to be on his level. And then when you've got guys like Ricky South and Matty Wahlberg, who are now at such a phenomenal level, he sees them and guys like the Velocities and whatnot, and he goes, well, I've got to push even harder. So he's very much looking to bring us up to his level. So then it keeps him sort of realistic and pushing further for himself. So it's a really good sort of attitude where everyone's trying to bring each other up. So.
Well, I mean that's the thing. I mean, you hear it all the time with pro wrestling. It's the way to get better is to wrestle people that are better than you. And
for sure,
obviously, Robbie Eagles is at that level, and to be able to train under someone like him, and especially when he comes back from New Japan, and to get that sort of time in the ring with him is a real learning experience for a lot of the young guys that are coming through. But obviously, you started at a pretty young age. Did you ever find, starting out and getting in the ring, that people ever took advantage of you or took liberties in the ring, or was it more, hey, let me take you under the wing, let me show you how this is done right?
It was definitely take under the wing. I've never felt sort of taken advantage of it all. I think we've got a very good crew, and in New South Wales, especially the sort of circles that the guys from PWA run in, we've got a very good crew where everyone is super friendly, and sort of the bad eggs get weeded out very quickly. And very early on, I think me being so young, like when I came in, I was the youngest one by a good few years. So having those leaders like Ricky and Wahlberg and Fudge and those guys sort of instantly go, hey, you're with me. Like this is how to go about things, and taking me aside at training and say, hey, I'll help you out, make sure you get better. Like, I found everyone was very much pushing me along because they could see that I really was all in, and they wanted me to be the best I could be.
Yeah, I mean, people see the level of commitment from other people, and if you go into it, it's like anything in life. If you go into it and you half-ass, then you're going to get people go, well, how committed is this guy really?
Yeah.
And
Sure.
if you're the first guy there, the last guy to leave, all that sort of good shit, that is what's obviously going to stand out for a lot of people, and especially people that have been in the wrestling game for a long time. Like, as you said, the Mark Wahlberg, the Matty Wahlberg, Matty Wahlberg.
Mark Wahlberg, that's his dad. That's his dad. Yeah,
that's his dad. Matty Wahlberg, sorry. And Robbie Eagles and Madison and all those guys. But when you broke into wrestling, what was obviously the main goals for you breaking in? Did you go, I want to get to the top, I want to go to WWE, or was it like, what, if I can, wrestle on a card here in Australia, maybe get a title, then I'm good with that? Or is it like, no, I really want to go as high as I can go?
Yeah, it's funny because I think everyone that really starts wrestling is like WWE, but I find, and I think a lot of people have had this same experience, the more you get into wrestling, the more your goals change. Because now I can't really say that I have any concrete sort of career goals besides make a living, off of wrestling is the ultimate goal. Obviously I want to go and do as much as I can, at the big companies. That should be everyone's goal. But yeah, it's kind of, it's strange where, I don't know, I just, you go in, you say, oh yeah, I'd like to do WWE, New Japan, all these companies. But I think as time goes on, you just individually, you have different things that come up and different opportunities for different people. Like, I mean, I know me, I'm not going to be, at least my style of wrestling, I'm not going to be picked for Battle of the Super Juniors anytime soon, Best of the Super Juniors. But someone like a Ricky South might be, or sorry, a Velocities might be looking more like that. And so I think everyone has different goals. And for me, I guess the only goal in my near future that I'm looking at is I really want to go wrestle for DDT over in Japan.
Oh, that would be amazing.
Yeah.
That would be an experience. Have you had a chance to get to do any stuff outside of Australia?
No, not yet. Not out of Australia.
Yeah.
I just broke out of the state bubble this year. I went over to EPW in Perth and done their super camp that they held there.
They're pretty good, man. I hear a lot of stuff about EPW.
Yeah. Really good crew.
How was it for you over there? Did you get much?
I
loved
it. Oh, it was phenomenal. Yeah, having they had obviously Davis Storm, Damian Slater, and Gavin McGavin as their three coaches, and them three are those coaches rival the coaches we have here. The experience those guys have is excellent, and I got to stay with Damian Slater and Davis Storm, so getting to pick their brains and hear their stories and all that was really cool. And Shane Thorne as well stopped in for one of the days from NXT. Wow. So getting that experience, it was really good. And then I got to wrestle over there and have a match at their academy show. So all around, that was a really good week, and I'm very grateful I did that.
Yeah, right. And obviously when you came in, you were in the tag team as the prefects with Billy. Where are you guys at now? Like, are you mainly focused on singles, or you still have the tag team going?
Well, it's a bit, I don't know, it's a bit up in the air with me and Billy at the moment. Because at the start of the year, he obviously graduated and went to uni, and I had to repeat year 12. So it's been a little bit weird. It's haven't seen each other as much, haven't been talking as much. So I really don't know what's the future for us. And COVID hasn't made that any better. So hopefully when shows come back, we'll be back on the same page like just before. So, but I guess time will tell.
Have you guys, like, obviously you mentioned COVID and everything got shut down, gyms, and that was obviously, pro wrestling training and pro wrestling shows. Now things are starting to opening back up with gyms. Have you guys started training again, or is that still been nixed for now?
Yeah, we've started training for about the last 3 or 4 weeks. And then just at the start of the July last week, we did our first contact training session, which was great because everyone was just ready to get back into it, and enough with just pretty much, enough with the cardio. Let's get in the ring and start slamming each other.
Yeah. And how was it for you after taking the time off? Was the body a bit sore afterwards, or was it like, oh, this is good shit?
Yeah, the first bump was a bit rough. But other than that, I mean, my cardio wasn't as bad actually as I thought it would be, and I think in the weeks since we started training, it's actually I think I feel pretty good, and I think I'm in the best shape I've been in. Especially, I had a pretty good gym set up at home during COVID, so I worked on trying to get into better shape. So I'm feeling pretty good overall, and just ready to get back into shows.
Yeah, right. And where are we at? We're starting seeing some shows back out in Sydney and New South Wales. Do you think?
I'm not too sure. I would say late August, early September is probably a good place where, at least fan wise, I think that would be it. Nothing's really been confirmed. But yeah, I think September is probably a safe bet for when shows will start to be back up.
Man, I can't wait. I got to see one PWA show last year, and I'm just itching to get back out and see him. And obviously we were talking before, and I've been able to talk to a couple of guys from the Australian scene, like Steph and Rig, and I'm very interested to get back out and see you guys put on an amazing show. But so far, obviously in your career, who's been one of your favorite opponents that you've been able to get in there and mix it up with?
I'd say Big Fudge, I think, has been my personal favorite because it's obvious that the comedy styles go hand in hand. We had 3 really good matches earlier this year, which they were phenomenal. It was me and Billy in a handicap against Fudge, and we had a comedy best of 3, which was basically we had a blindfold match, we had a no sound match, and we had a first cry match. And all 3 of those matches are some of my favorites because we really were given the opportunity to just be creative and just go, let's do everything we want to. Let's do all that sort of dumb comedy stuff that makes us laugh. And it made the crowd laugh. So that's all we can get out of it.
So I know what a blindfold match is. What's a no sound match first?
So the no sound match is a match where if any of the competitors make a sound, they are disqualified.
That is awesome.
So either that includes, if you run or you get slammed on the mat and make too much noise. So it was a very interesting contest. Big Fudge unfortunately sneezed at the end and gave us the win. So
well, that's fortunate for you, unfortunate for Big Fudge.
We were very happy it tied up the scores.
Was it the first cry?
First cry, yes. Obviously, the first one to shed tears is the loser. Except at the end,
with a name like Big Fudge, I can't see him being a guy that sheds a tear too often.
Well, I'll tell you what. If you go watch that match back, we definitely all shed very much tears. Someone piped in the Titanic song over the speakers. So, what can we do? We were all emotional. Our adrenaline was pumping, and we all just broke down together. So it was a happy ending. We're all friends once again. So I'm very happy.
Yeah, no, fair enough, man. It sounds like a very interesting turn of events. I definitely have to go check out that match. You have to send me that link. But
we'll do.
Yeah, who are some of the guys that obviously that you'd like to get in there and have a match with? Is Robbie Eagles at the top of that list?
Oh, he'd definitely be up there. Everyone you can think of on the PWA roster, I'd love to get in there with. I think, yeah, and I mean, I guess. Yeah, like it just depends. Because me personally, right now, I think with kind of the character I'm in and the wrestling style I'm in, I could have some very interesting matches with them. But I think I like with the DDT stuff, I really want to go over there and wrestle that sort of comedy style, and then maybe give it a year or 2 for me to develop more as a wrestler and maybe learn a bit more, and then I can get out there with guys like Robbie and really show what I can do and have a main event quality match. So. Definitely down the line, Robbie, Madison, Moretti, Bonzar, Ricky, all those top guys who are just phenomenal wrestlers. I'd love to get in there with.
Is the United States on the radar at all? Like going over and working some of the indies over there? Like, you look at some of the major indies over there, like Pro Wrestling Guerrilla, Combat Zone Wrestling, GCW, MLW, or I suppose MLW is kind of a larger indie. But are those some of the things on your radar that you'd like to go over and experience?
Yeah, for sure. I'd love to do those. I guess I haven't got them penciled in anytime soon. But I just think, I mean, it really depends on international travel and that. I'd love to go over for a WrestleMania weekend and try and get my foot in the door amongst all those festivities. That'd be really cool. So it'll just have to see. I think I'd probably have to wait until I'm 21 to get the full benefit out of that trip. So maybe in a couple of years, America might be on the horizon. Definitely.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And how do you think the Jimmy Townsend character would go over in the United States? Do you think it would be something that fans would be able to sort of relate to and generate to? I mean, the prefect, obviously, in Australia, we would understand and get it, but how do you think that would go as far as like the American audiences?
I don't know. It's really interesting. I've thought about it a little bit. Yeah, I think it could go either way. By what we see of American culture in their high schools and that, it doesn't seem so much the same as ours. Really, they don't wear uniforms and they don't really have the prefects and all that type of thing. So I don't know. Hopefully, the same stereotypes that happen here apply over there, but I'll have to test it out.
I, Honestly, I think it would probably work, man. I reckon it would be something that no one had seen over there before.
Well, yeah, I think that'd be the best thing for me to be different. So
yeah, like I think, definitely the schoolboy character would, if done correctly, and obviously you've been doing it really well over here for so long that yeah, like I think you've definitely got it down pat, and to be able to go and do it over there would be absolutely amazing. I know I would be sitting there like popping for it, like, okay. But I pop for all the Australians. You know what I mean? Like that's just me. But you know, as far as wrestling goes now, do you still watch much of the major companies? Like we look at WWE, AEW, Ring of Honor.
I keep up with them. I don't really watch them so much anymore, just because there's so much of it to keep up on. And trying to keep up with all that, as well as keeping up with my own wrestling and training, and then work and school, and yeah, it's just a lot to keep up with. So I definitely keep up with sort of all the major thing that's happening in the wrestling world, but I don't watch as much as I'd like to, and especially like I said, I'm very young, so there's a lot of stuff that's being recommended to me by people to go back and watch, like old school TNA, old school Ring of Honor, or old school CZW, the Attitude Era sort of WCW, and all stuff that I just have on a list that I really need to work down. And it's just so much. And you look at it and you go, that's a big task. I don't know if I want to take that step today.
Dude, I'm telling you now, like I'm 38 and I still don't get through that list, right?
Yeah.
Like I've literally on my phone have a list of like all these shows, like probably there's like 200 shows across all promotions that I've got here. Like, oh yeah, I've got to watch that. And then I'll sit down there and go, oh, that show looks pretty good. I'll check, you know what I mean? The next thing you know, I'm like adding more show names and stuff and I'm not getting through them. So but the funny thing is it's stuff that I may have even already watched like years prior. I'm just like,
and that's what always happens. You end up like always falling back into things you've watched that give you nostalgia. Like you said, I'll go on the network and I'll look for half an hour at, maybe I'll watch this old pay-per-view and this, and then I go, no, I'm going to go watch CM Punk and Jeff Hardy from 2009. That's a classic. And you just watch the same match you've watched 20 times, 30 times, but it's just what always ends up happening. So,
but I think it's a nostalgia thing as well. Like people,
definitely, yeah.
You go back to what you really love and you go back to what you remember as a kid. Like for me, I like to go back and watch stuff of the Attitude Era and you look at it compared to the quality of production that they have now and you go, oh wow, like because I remember as a kid watching, oh, this is amazing, like look how fucking crazy this is. And now it's like a completely different spectacle, and like I said, I watch wrestling no matter, since I was 4 years old, so it's always been something I've been able to watch. But there's always those times like I want to go back and watch certain things. Like my son, I just he's 4 years old, and I just put on Hulk Hogan from WrestleMania 3 just because I was like I want him to experience this.
Get him hooked early. Yeah,
it works, but sometimes
it's the nostalgia, man. Like it shows you how powerful wrestling is, that you watch these matches from when you were a kid and you get those same emotions that you had when you were a kid and you go, I remember this, and yeah, I guess that's the feeling that motivates everyone in wrestling to do. So then hopefully we can do something that has that effect on someone in the future, and the train goes on. So
Absolutely, man. It's kind of like wrestling is it's an escape for a lot of people. It gives
definitely.
people that sort of time where they can shut their brain off and really dive into it and be like, you know, pro wrestling's pro wrestling, and you're either a fan of it or you're not. There's no anything. If you can let your mind and your imagination go into it and invest into pro wrestling, then you're going to get out of it what you want. But if you're not a fan of it, you sit there and go, "This is bullshit," then it's just not for you, which is okay, because not everything is for everyone. But for fans like myself, and obviously guys like you who have now gone on to take that leap into the world of pro wrestling, it's that time where you can sort of, all right, I've got this stress in the world, I've got this shit going on, I'm gonna sit down, I'm gonna watch some wrestling and just forget about that shit for the next 2 to 3 hours.
Sure.
But that's the thing, man. Like currently now, like where you're at, with PWA, you're looking at some of the other promotions around Australia. Like, where are some of the promotions that you haven't had the opportunity to work in Australia that you'd really like to sort of put your footprint on?
I'd like to go back to EPW for like a proper show. Or one thing I did express interest in was every year or so they have the Royal Show, which is kind of like the Easter show over in Perth, and they actually for the past few years have had their ring inside the little showroom and have sessions every day for like a week straight. So that's something I'd be really interested in going to do. MCW is one that obviously is another huge company in the country, and I got the opportunity to do commentary for them last year for Ballroom Brawl, and that came about literally from about 10 of our PWA wrestlers were booked on that show, and they all drove down in a bus together, and there was a couple extra seats, so I tagged along just to go shake some hands and help out. And on the way down there, the promoter messaged Jax Jordan and just said, "Hey, Andy Coyne has pulled out last minute. Is there anyone there who would like to do commentary?" And I straight away was like, "Yep, me. I'm in." So
right place, right time, man.
Yeah, exactly, and got to do commentary for that and put my foot in the door there. So getting to go there and wrestle would be really cool. And Wrestle Rampage in Adelaide is another big one. Like guys like Rat Daddy and Tommy Knight I've met, and they're really cool, and they've got a good roster there. So just pretty much anywhere that'll have me would be cool.
Yeah, no, absolutely, man. We got a question coming in from the audience from Andrew Baker, who's one of the guys that runs Multi-Continental Wrestling Alliance with me. He wants to know, are there any character traits or moves that you would eventually like to incorporate into your character?
That's an interesting one. Yeah, I don't know, because I really have actually during quarantine been doing a lot of thinking creatively and just looking into the future, because for me, the end of this year, should I actually get to graduate this year? It's been a big sort of thought of mine of what do I want to do with myself post school, within wrestling and outside of wrestling. What do I want to do with my life? What do I want to dedicate my time towards? How do I want to present myself? And I really haven't been able to put my finger on it yet. So it's something I have been struggling with a little bit and getting different opinions on. So it's a good question, and it's a question I've been asking myself as well. I can't really say I've got a solid answer for that, but it's really been a big question on my mind. So I guess I'll know when you know, because it'll come to me one day, hopefully.
It'll happen to you in a match, and you're like, "Oh,
yeah." I'm having the school, the post school. What do I do with my life? Thoughts for wrestling and for my legitimate outside life. So.
There you go, man. It's maybe a Hurricane Rana into a Canadian destroyer and back.
Well, in terms of moves, there's so many moves I'd love to do, but I guess the problem, but I don't necessarily think it's a problem, but I guess there are so many moves that I can do that I don't do. But I think the positive of that is with me and how my stuff is very comedy centric. I guess when I pull out one of those moves that I can do, it means a bit more, because then people go, "Oh wow, Jimmy Townsend just pulled out this cool move," rather than me just throwing it out every show and then they come to expect it. I guess I've got things in my back pocket that I'd like to pull out in the future. But if I reveal them, it's no surprise, then, is it?
Absolutely not, man. Don't give away the farm just yet. But Yeah, you mentioned comedy wrestling is a big part of obviously what you enjoy and big part of your character. What is it about comedy wrestling that really resonates with you more than obviously that serious, like I'm a badass style?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it doesn't. It makes sense now in hindsight, but as a kid, like I said, like DX 2006 was sort of my first big thing in wrestling that I loved because they were just hilarious. And I've always just sort of, I think, me as a person, I'm a very happy, very positive person, and I sort of look at life in the way of, anything and everything can be joked about, and I don't really care. You can laugh at me and say what you want, and I'll bounce back. I'll have a laugh at it myself. I'll make fun of myself as much as the next guy. So I've always just looked at the world in a very, humorous outlook, and I'll try to make light of every situation. So I think that's just kind of always been in my mind, where I look at wrestling and sometimes people take it too seriously, and not to discredit anyone, I take it as seriously in terms of as a career as anyone, but I look at my match and I don't get so offended of like, oh, I'll do this spot and it'll ruin it, because wrestling is, I think it's funny. If I think it's funny, then I'm going to enjoy myself, and then that comes across to the fans that I'm enjoying myself, so they enjoy themselves, and that's the fun of it, because then we're all laughing and we're all smiling. So getting out there and getting to do something like, do a wet willy or do a nipple cripple, and I'm laughing because the person I'm doing the nipple cripple to is in pain, and then I'm laughing at them, and then the crowd's laughing at us, and I don't know, it's just such a positive thing, getting people to laugh, and especially with wrestling, like how you said, it's an escape, so people want to come and have fun. Sometimes having that little bit of lightheartedness on the show is what the show needs, and yeah, so.
I suppose everyone that gets into wrestling wants to be the badass, wants to be the guy that sort of stomps the ring, flips the finger, and being the tough guy. But
not everyone can do it.
Not everyone can do it, exactly. And it's like some people you see that try and do it, you're like, yeah, okay.
But, and that's the thing. When I first started, and like I said, with the promo classes and character development, when I first started, I had a bit of a serious character in mind before the idea of doing the prefect came along. I kind of just had the idea of being like your generic, like I kind of liken it to like a Randy Orton legend killer type. I'm the young up and coming, badass, and I'm just as good as this person and that person. But I found very quickly, and I don't know if it's just me, but I struggled to find any future for that character, because I kind of went, okay, I'm a young guy and I'm good, but I find it a lot harder to come up with characters for serious wrestlers, I guess, because I think if they're a lot more serious and a lot less ridiculous, then it's kind of a narrower path to have fun with. Whereas being a schoolboy, I can do whatever I want and be as ridiculous as I want. And there's so many more ideas that are open to me, which makes life so much easier for me.
I mean, absolutely. And the thing is, like, your style of character has never really been done before. Like, you don't really see that out there as much as like you see the big tough sort of intimidating type. It's been done a million times over, where yours is something original, and that's something hard to find especially in pro wrestling, because everything has been recycled several times over.
Yeah,
but to have a character like yours is quite refreshing, because it's something different, it's something new, and something that wrestling fans necessarily haven't seen a million times over before. Have you found that has been more of the thing that you find, from a fan's perspective? Like, do you see fans that have obviously come up to you and say, hey, I really enjoy your character because it's something new and different?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. Like I don't think I've really had any negative feedback on the character so far, which is good and bad, because it's good, but it means that I'm still going up and I've got to come down sometime. So I'm just hoping it doesn't hit me too hard. Yeah, I think we've been lucky enough to hit all the right notes so far, and I think that's just because we've steered clear of doing anything that has been done before. Yeah, it's just the crowd's taken to us so well, and I think because as well as it's never been done before, it's also very relatable, because everyone's been to school. Everyone's been pushed around a little bit. Everyone, has been on the playground and taken part in some playground jokes and some pranks. So, there's always that bit of like, oh, I remember that from school, or I did that at school, or then if you want to go into the more serious side of it, like, I'm getting pushed around the ring by, a Kai Drake's beating me up, and then they can be like, oh, the schoolboy's getting bullied, or, oh, I remember at school that guy used to push me around. Everyone can sort of relate to some aspect of it. So I think that mixed in with the fact that in wrestling it's never really been done has worked really well.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree, and I definitely think it's people can relate to it. Obviously, being in there from school, but Jimmy, we have been going for nearly 45 minutes, and I do appreciate your time, and obviously don't want to take up too much of your time, but where can people find you, and where can people find you on social media if they want to show their support and follow you?
Prefect Jimmy on Instagram and Twitter, and Facebook is Jimmy Townsend. That's me.
Right. So, guys, look, thank you very much for coming on, Jimmy. I will get you to hold on. We'll have a chat before we finish up after this.
Yep.
But, guys, look, I just want to say thank you for Jimmy for coming on and giving us his time. It's been a great time sitting here and having a chat with him. And we definitely will be bringing Jimmy back on once COVID sort of all clears up and the pro wrestling shows start. So, we do have to keep an eye on the time because, his mum did say that, he's got to be in bed before 10. So it is getting that time. So just, thank you, Mrs. Townsend, for letting him stay up past his bedtime. So we do appreciate it. But guys, you have been watching Shooting the Shit Uncensored. Jimmy, thank you so much for coming on. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on. Guys, also please head over and check out our sponsors, Mayan Belts on Facebook, A-Rock Designs also on Facebook, and Signal Studios on Facebook as well. And until next time, guys, I'm Piers Austin. This is Jimmy Townsend, and we'll catch you next time. Bye, guys.